Welcome back, my friends, to the Predictive Playbook. I'm your host, John Ryan, and I have Don Buster of Buster Sports in the house today for a quick little 25-minute chat here. We're going to start with Major League Baseball. We're going to talk a little bit about the first round, the Olympic golf, it's like a PGA event, and it's going to be fun to chat about that. And then maybe we'll come up with something else here at the end as well. So welcome to the show, Buster. How's everything going?
Very good, John. Want to congratulate you. I see on the Twitter there that you're 12-1 in MLB. Nice run.
Yeah.
Keep it going, brother. You know, it's nice to get on those streaks. And, hey, everybody says, yeah, you get on these streaks, and then next thing you know, it's bound to end because regression has to set in. But remember, regression doesn't have to set in. No reason why you can't go like 25-6, 32-10, stuff like that. So keep it up, John. Very good.
I appreciate it. And likewise for you, you're number one over at sportsmemo.com last 30 days in all sports. And you do all sports. You're in golf and several others. So well done on your part as well. And let's get to the promo we have for you because not college football, Canadian Football League action.
Yeah, one more week coming. One more week.
Yep, and you are in Canada. You live in Mexico sometimes too.
Yes, 9 months in Mexico and 3 months in Canada. So yeah, we'll be here. We actually will probably catch a couple CFL games while we're here till October, I believe. And
as the promotion says here, Buster Sports, Buster is number one all time at both Sportsmemo and Wager Talk. He's the king of Canadian football, period. Nobody is better, 63.8%, 146 units, guys and gals. And as Sportsmemo does with the elite cappers who really know a sport, they do a nice promotion. And this one is outstanding because you can save 400 smackers right now by getting his Canadian Football League subscription for the whole entire regular season for just $2.99. But you better act today. I'm not trying to be a real salesman here because these deals aren't going to last forever. You can't wait till August 4th and expect this deal to be here. The reason it's discounted is because it's early bird special to get you on board, and so you don't miss out on another potentially incredible season from Buster. So we'll have more about this in a little bit. And then lastly, here's my streaks. 12-1 Major League Baseball streak. Totals have been running most of that 12-1, which is somewhat unusual for my models to have more totals than sides. It's usually dogs for the most part, about 80% dogs in Major League Baseball, and then that's a normal season. So this is a stretch where the totals are starting to come out even more. So if they're winning, that's great. The models are doing something and they're learning from past history. So I'm tickled pink with them, and they're in my good graces. Football for me, the NFL has been my niche though. That's 65.9% last year at Sportsmemo. That ranked number one. So humbly said, you have two number one guys right here on this show, which is pretty cool. And I'm pretty proud of that. The combination of Buster and myself is a strong one. I'll leave it at that. So,
John, I just want to comment there about your NFL. So I didn't realize how good you are at NFL, but we were talking there maybe a couple of weeks ago. So I had my buddy there, my good buddy Carmine Bianco. He was down in Vegas putting in some Circa pools. So I do have a entry in the Circa this year. So I might have to talk to you a little bit about some NFL plays when I've got four and I need that fifth one to be put in there. You might hear a call from me to get that extra play to help me in the contest. Because I'm telling you, even myself doing this 40 years, we all can learn from everyone else, and that's one thing that all your viewers should understand. It's a learning way all the time, and I know we've said this. Me and you talking a bunch of times, whether it's on the Manny's Pub Show or here, but it is really always just try to keep learning because we all still are learning even now.
It's so true. Talking with you would be, just like anybody else, discussion about what we're seeing, matchups, the whole kit and caboodle. And, it's definitely a two-way flow of information, and that's what makes Sports Memo and Wager Talk so powerful. Las Vegas Chris is a tremendous resource, and that's just one of the major resources. He was second and fifth last year in the circuit contest. So you'll see him on my shows, and he always has his checks in the background. And Tony Finn, if he's on that show, he still says, "Chris, did you ever find your checks?" Which I know sounds dumb, but you have to actually see these two interact. It's just a blast. It's Manny's Pub show is a little bit more laid back, and we sometimes get off the rails. But recently, the last 2 weeks, it's been focused. The trade deadline is looming now. We have a little bit more than 24 hours to go. And let's talk about baseball here a little bit. Talk now is Joey Gallo is going to be hitting home runs there at Yankee Stadium. And that was, if this happens, this was something I didn't see coming. But it certainly is going to involve, I would think, basically the Yankees' entire farm system of talent. It's going to come with a load for Texas. And that might be exactly what Texas needs to rebuild, start this whole team over and build from the ground up. So it'll be interesting to see if this actually happens. I guess from per sources, you have to think that it will. But the Phillies had a deal done with Tyler Anderson, starting pitcher, left-hander, and that fell through because of a prospect's medical report not being updated, and it turned out that there was something wrong with him. I thought that was kind of bizarre too. And then a couple hours later, Tyler Anderson goes to Seattle, and Graveman is shocked that he was traded. And everybody was shocked. I mean, I ran some stuff, Buster, in my database. When he entered a game and pitched in a game in late innings, they are 28-2. When they were tied or trailing after 7 innings, 6-1 if he came in after that point. And I mean, you don't. I don't understand why Seattle got rid of him. I really don't.
Yeah, but, it's really not like they're. I mean, if I remember right, they still have a shot in there, right? They're still doing all right. I don't have no idea. So yeah, I guess I never saw the interview. I guess the guy's crying on the field and everything. He doesn't, because it's a big thing. We sit back and just don't think nothing of it. These guys get traded, but it's their families, it's their kids in the school system. It's everything that they've built up, and then you think you found yourself a home, and especially when you're at his best. He's at his best right now. That's a time you think, you know what, you're probably not going to get traded, but things happen in Major League Baseball. It's a business, and the Joey Gallo thing's the same way, and it'll probably work good for both clubs. The Yankees will help them to make a run this year, and it'll help Texas rebuild. So that's the whole point of doing these trades, to make your team better, whether it's for now or for the future.
My gut feel is that Chris Bryant will be a Philly by the end of the week, and I know that's a reach. But I just have a feel that is going to happen. And that would be a guy that would protect. The reason I think it's going to happen, Buster, is Harper hasn't had any consistent batter behind him. He's had different names. Right now it's McCutchen, who's doing a nice job. But I don't see that as a long-term position with McCutchen batting cleanup. But if they would get Bryant, then look out. Because then you're going to see Harper's numbers really start climbing, and probably immediately. And I wouldn't be surprised, assuming that this was even possible. I think Harper then would go to the 2 slot, Bryant in the 3, and that's a pretty formidable first 3 to face in the first inning of a game against Philly. Oh, yeah. So we'll have to wait and see how that comes about.
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah. You would think that if they do get him, they have some all right pitching there in Philly, but I think they do, if I remember right, in all my little things I've got going here when I do my major league picks. I believe their bullpen needs a little help too, right? Just like a lot of teams.
Yeah. Yep, and Kimbrel is the big name out there now. Houston.
I see that.
Houston took two guys that are really two closers in a very solid move, but one that I didn't see coming. I don't think too many of the talking heads saw it coming either.
No.
But Kimbrel's going to command a big price tag. And there's a lot of teams right now that could use him. The Dodgers, for example, I think they're either going to grab Scherzer. If this Joey Gallo deal is for real for the Yankees, that eliminates Scherzer going to New York. It possibly brings in Boston now to get Scherzer, but I think the Dodgers, they have to get a starting pitcher in there because Bauer's not coming back anytime soon.
No.
It seems like he's not even welcomed in the clubhouse, and I don't blame him. I don't blame the clubhouse and the team and the organization for being like that. They have every right in the world to do that. But to get to the World Series and win, which is their goal, they're going to have to bring in somebody like a Scherzer. They also need a closer because Tony Finn's it's hysterical. You'll see it this afternoon if you're able to make the pub show, Buster. Tony Finn has a passion for Davy Roberts and his incompetence, and Jansen. Jansen has blown, what is it, four saves, I guess, the last five.
Yeah, he blew those last two against San Francisco there. Horrible. I guess last night there was no chance for any blown saves, I guess, when LA wins 8-0. But the two games before, and I think even last week sometime. So, what that happens to these relievers, right? They go, and next thing you know, they can't make a save to save their soul. No pun intended, but yeah.
Yeah, and you see it in all sports. It's the yips in golf. Ben Simmons shooting free throws. I mean, it happens to everybody.
Yeah.
At some point, sometimes it's a career problem, and it's unfortunate. But most of the time, these professional athletes will fight through it and get it right. I'm trying to think of another one that was Markelle Fultz, Sixers draft pick a few years ago, was so blown away in the head that he couldn't even shoot 20% from the field. I mean, it was scary. And, complete, his brain was just fried. And the Sixers traded him away, gave him a new start, and he worked it out. And now he's a solid NBA player that has a lot of upside. So, whenever we see these, I think Jansen will be fine. But if I'm a Dodger fan, boy, I have to turn the TV off if he's in the game. I wouldn't be able to watch it.
Yeah. And if I remember right, wasn't Fultz like a number one draft pick that year when he was
first round? So
a lot of times that's a lot of pressure on these kids, right?
Yep.
All of a sudden you're number one, and you might not think, "Oh, geez, I shouldn't be number one." And you can, as just because you're a golfer, the mind can really play tricks on you when you put pressure on yourself, right? So that's probably, like I say, the kid gets a new start somewhere else, and now he's all settled in. So great for him. It's good to see.
And you're right. You play golf too, and the PGA Tour. We're going to talk a little bit about the Olympic first round in a little bit. But that's why I love competitive golf. I mean, the real competitive golf, not a $2 Nassau on the weekend with your buddies, but a club championship, for example. Because no matter where you are, what club, doesn't matter. There's guys that play rounds, and gimmies are anywhere from 18 inches to 5 feet. Yeah. But when you have a 5-footer or a 3-footer, and it's club championship, and say you are in that final two groups, there's an extra attention put into it, and I think. My theory is that if you practice those putts, I do the Phil Mickelson drill, where you put on the practice screen, you put down 10 balls in a circle around a hole that has break and different types of break. So you'll have slice putt, you'll have hook, you'll have dead straight, dead downhill. And you practice them over and over again. When you have that pressure, you feel the pressure, but you've executed it a million times. And you'll have a better chance of making that than someone who, was used to, oh yeah, that's good, pick it up. Because then it doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. I know myself. Like I say, I guess shouldn't really be talking about this stuff on the show. But just as far as you say with the yips or whatever, even for myself, I used to have a membership at a course. I'm going back a lot of years, and I wasn't really that good. But if you play the same course all the time, you get really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yep.
I could not break 80. I could not break 80. I'd always hit 80. I've had 4 times. I had putts probably just like you said, those 5 foot that I could not make. I have you push it right away, and I could never get that 79. And that's just something minor. That's nothing. So you can't imagine when these guys are putting those putts like that, and you say, how that guy missed that putt? It's very easy when you've got millions of dollars on the line. Never mind just the pressure of trying to beat your best score, right? So.
Yep. It's the same thing in bowling. I bowl. I actually know a guy that's in the State Hall of Fame. He has 142 perfect games.
Wow.
It's pretty good. And he's a left-hander. And in bowling leagues, I'm sure Vegas is big. Reno is big for bowling too. The leagues, if somebody has 6 or 7 in a row, they get extra courtesy. They give extra respect for the guy or woman to execute the shot. And then when it gets into the 10th, nobody bowls except for that poor guy on the lanes that's bowling. And I often thought that if everybody would just recognize the situation, be respectful, but continue to bowl, it would be better. And
Probably
I have a buddy that I bowl with,
and
it would be, especially a guy's going for it the first time, because the first time you go into the 10th, you're thinking about it. If you're not normal, if you're not thinking about it, but then you learn that to do it again and again and again, you can't be thinking about it. You got to be thinking about throwing the same shot you just threw 9 previous times that were great strikes, and just execute it again. And that's what we're talking about. And Jansen is in that field now where he throws 9 in a row, say by analogy, and then throws a gutter ball. And that's the analogy to a hanging pitch that gets hit to South America. So I bet that is going through his head. Like what the hell is going to go on now? I got this guy 0-2. I'll probably not get him out.
Of course, he's going to be questioning himself. It's human nature. I don't care how good you are and how many times you've done it. All of a sudden, if you can't do it, you know what? Guess what? You're thinking about it. All those times that you did it means nothing. Kind of almost like an analogy here. You've had, like you said earlier in the show, you've been great in the NFL. You know what? If you come out of the gate 2-6, all of a sudden you can't pick nothing, can you?
Yeah, you're right, and that happened last year.
That's just the way. That's just human nature. All of a sudden, all that stuff in the past means nothing. Just like me and my CFL, I've been just unconscious myself even for the last 10, 15 years, and now the records have shown. But I tell you, I come out of the gate 2-6, 2-7 this year. I actually did that when they had the season. I came out 2-5. I got all these emails and DMs from people that bought my packages saying, "Oh, how good are you?" Well, I end up going like 37-12 the rest of the year. But I'm just saying, those things happen. Yeah, you can have bad years. You can all of a sudden, and then you're not mentally. What ends up happening is that you think right away, this is a play. And then all of a sudden you're questioning yourself. No different than Kaylee Jansen. He gets up there. He knows what he has to do. I'm 0-2. Okay, how do I get this guy out? It's like he's forgot all the times he's did it. Right?
That's right.
So, anyways, that might be a bad analogy, but I'm just saying.
It's a great one. It's a great one, absolutely.
That's just human nature, and that's how life goes. And hopefully for him, he can get it turned around. But the guy has had a great career, and if this is the end of it, so be it. He's got a lot of money in the bank, and he's not hurting at all. So, things happen.
Yep, absolutely. It's I was thinking of another example. Like I actually did start 2-6 in the NFL last year, and it's so funny you brought that up. And I did have that reaction, like, oh man, this COVID crap is my models aren't even coming up with, because that's the beginning of my research. I narrowed the games down, especially in college football, to a manageable slate where I can really go thorough on every single game, every single matchup, But you're right, but like golf, and I always emphasize this, my youngest boy plays at a Division I school, and my oldest son was a baseball player, but we play golf together now. And you're going to have, you look at the pros. They're going to have adversity somewhere. It may be the first hole. It might be the 16th hole. But it's going to rear its ugly head. And there's very few times that even a pro goes bogey-free. And if he does, it's news. Yeah. So much like the NFL, you don't know where that bad week's going to come. Nobody's going to have 18 consecutive winning weeks. That's unlikely to happen. It's never happened in the circuit. It's never happened in the super contest. 10 years ago, 20 years ago in the super contest, especially 20 years ago, if you hit 60%, you were probably one of the top 5. Now 65% is going to get you there.
But now it's a numbers game. It's just, and I was saying this to actually, you brought up Las Vegas Chris there, Vegas Energy. I was talking with him about that maybe a couple of days ago, and I was saying, because I got in, and I know how tough it is. It is a crapshoot. Even if you're in that circuit, I don't care how good you are at the football, that you got to pick the right, out of the 16 games, you have to pick the right 5 ones and do it consistently. So I said to him, you know what? Truthfully, here's what I'm hoping for, because I'm a streaky. Yeah, I'm always streaky. I'll go on these big streaks. I said to him, you know what, Chris? I'm just hoping for a 17-3 in one of the quarters. Grab some cash.
Oh yeah,
and we'll all be happy. But like he says to me, 17-3 is not even going to be good enough because of the numbers. There's so many numbers. Somebody's going to get 19-1, 18-2. So it makes it tough that way. But anyways,
they do pay the top 5, top 10 every quarter
per quarter. Yeah. So
so. That would be acceptable. Yeah, for sure.
Well, like saying I'm going to get 17-3 and doing it is 2 different things, though, as you know. So
it really, Chris and I have talked about it too, because when you're in the hunt, say you're in the cashing numbers and there's 4 weeks to go, you suddenly then evolve into a capper that's trying to pick a game that very few above you in the standings is picking. And I'm actually working on a machine learning app because I have every single pick that was ever released in the Super Contest in a massive database. So, 3,500 entries, 5 entries per week. That's like 16,000 data points, 16,000 picks every single week. And now, Circa has started. I have multiple years of that, and you can get some intelligence like that. It's not going to be 100%, but you can identify or at least predict what the most popular top 5 selections are going to be among the top 100 entries at that point. So it'll help some. It's not going to be a perfect science, but I think it'll lead all of us to plays like Las Vegas Chris did last year, and coincidentally it was one of my 5-star plays. It was the New York Jets plus 14.5 hosting the Seattle Seahawks, and the Jets won outright.
I was going to say that. Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And that was one of his key picks down the stretch that got him 2nd and 5th, because nobody ahead of him had it, and the ones that were ahead of him that did play the game had Seattle.
Right.
So he jumped, just on that one game, he jumped a ton.
You know what, John, you saying that the guys ahead of him had Seattle minus 14.5, that just tells me they must have been shit lucky all year, because I can't, you just don't lay those kind of points on the road. I don't care.
Not in the NFL.
No, not in the
NFL.
Never. So anyways, that's neither here nor there, but
let's get to your free pick here.
Okay.
We're in the AL East here, and Toronto is 50-48. The division is led by the Boston Red Sox, and pretty much all year long they've led 63-40, 23 games over 500, 7-3 the last 10, and that's 7-3 after the All-Star break as well, which is one of the best teams in Major League Baseball after the All-Star break. So they have a 2.5 game lead over Tampa Bay, who had tied them just last week. Tampa Bay's on a 3-game losing streak. The Yankees are 7-3 also. They've won 2 in a row. They're 6 games over 500, 8.5 behind Boston, but only 2.5 in the wild card race, which is led by Tampa Bay, and I believe Oakland is the one that the Yankees are trying to chase down. But Toronto was supposed to be one of those teams too that was going to make a run at Boston. They're 10.5 behind, 4.5 behind in the wild card, so they're very much alive in that. And it just happens that we are playing. This is the. Is this the first game, Buster, or is this the final game of the series?
It's the final game of the series. They played.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's right.
A doubleheader yesterday.
I lost my mind there for a second. I was pretty dumb to say, but anyway, Boston is playing or hosting Toronto for the final of a 4-game set. And I'm interested to know where you're going to take this and who we should bet on. So the floor is yours.
Okay, well, as you said, this is the last game for Toronto, and there's going to be a couple things I'm going to bring up here, and maybe even to talk about when Toronto plays tomorrow at home in Kansas City. The thing with Toronto here, and I'm going to go about the situational spot. What I like, the bet I'm going to be on is going to be Boston. Boston's only laying 111. The pitchers are Rodriguez and Rui for Toronto, but Toronto after this game, they will go home and play in Toronto at the Rogers Center. I like to call it Sky. I like to call it Sky Dome for the first time since September 2019. So sometimes you might have a little lack of interest there too. The situational spot, Toronto knowing that they have to go within 24 hours, they're going to be playing in front of 15,000 people for the first time, and that'll get you thinking ahead. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
Even though you're in a game against a team like you're trying to catch or in the East where they need to win every game. But something like that, I always look at those games like they call it like Thursdays a lot of times is the get out day, as you always say. But just going into the game, Rodriguez, he started like crap. And actually, Alex Cora said that he figured he was their number one arm. Well, in May, he had a 7.78 or 7.76 ERA. In June, it was 6.23. Turn around into July. Now he's starting to pitch the way they wanted to pitch. He's in 4 starts in July. He's got a 2.55 ERA. He's starting to look really good, a lot better, and the way Cora figured he was going to be looking this year. Also, the Jays don't hit lefties as well as they do righties. So that's in our favor. Also, on the other hand, Boston loves hitting left-handers, and they get a chance at Rui. And now Rui's always been very good. He's had another good year. Although, the last time he was in Boston, he allowed 4 runs in 5 innings. So I just think the whole situational, and now you're getting Boston basically at a pick. It's like minus 111. That was, mind you, that was a few hours ago. But Boston at a pick, Toronto kind of wanting to get home and to maybe looking ahead a bit, and you got Rodriguez who's got a boatload of confidence right now, and again a Boston team that although they haven't been as good against lefties this last month, they were one of the best teams at one time against left-handed pitching. So give me Boston here, and I'm going to add one more thing too. Again, it'll be maybe tomorrow. Could be another play against Toronto because it's that long road trip that I talked about last Thursday. I never played any of those games, but if anybody that watched this, those games went 3-1. I never played because I didn't like the pitching matchups. I didn't like the prices because, as you know, John, I'm a bit of a small favorite and underdog player. I'm very seldom laying 140, 150. I'm never laying any more than 150. So some of those games just didn't work out, but they went 3-1. And this situation for Toronto tomorrow will be a similar situation. So anybody watch it, just watch the pitching matchup, see what you have there. And Kansas City first half might be a good spot with everything going on. The Blue Jays coming home real quickly, get to see their wife and kids or whatever, and then turn around, have to play a huge game in front of fans for the first time. They might be a little awestruck or a little rusty for the first bit, but check the pitching matchup tomorrow, and you might get Kansas City for the first half. I would play that game at probably some nice plus money.
Yeah, I love the breakdown. I'll just add this in support because I like Boston quite a bit in this game. We're seeing tickets dominating on Toronto, but money is what really counts, and 68% of the money is on Boston. So it's gone up to like minus 115, minus 117, a little bit of a steam move there. But I would like Boston all the way up to minus 130 if it went there. If somebody's watching this, at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and the line has gotten up that high, I wouldn't change my mind on it, but I think you bet it sooner rather than later. And lastly, Rodriguez is 16-1 as a home favorite of minus 110 or more in games that he has started in the last 3 seasons. I'll say that again, 16-1.
Wow. Well, let's just hope it goes to 17-1. And we've talked on this before a lot of times. I remember there was a basketball game that I had the other side, and you came out with all the stats, and I said to you on Manny's Pub, I said, well, I think it was like 21-3 or something ridiculous. I said, well, John, let's hope it's 21-4 because I was on the other side, and it did actually work out my way. But let's hope it's 17-1 now. That's for sure. I love that stat. Now that just even backs it that much more. That's great. Great stat, John. Great stat.
Yeah, and I think that is a reliable stat. That's not one of those that with my p values would indicate that it's not reliable or due to go the opposite direction.
Right.
Because it's favored, it's at home, and that means it's the better team, and he's the better starter, or the combination of those two is better, and you're getting him at a very cheap price today. So.
I was shocked when I saw that because I'm like you. I thought 130 for sure, only because he's been pitching way better, and they were counting on him to be maybe a lights out guy. Now I don't know if he ever gets there because I've not really been high on him because he always keeps having those months, but he might be one of those guys. Like I know I always have a list of guys just to keep an eye on and guys that I think that's going to regress for the second half of the year, and you can do quite well if you're correct on those things. And I think Rodriguez is one of these guys that you want to keep an eye on to maybe make some money for yourself.
I love it. I love it a lot, Buster. And with the few minutes we have left here, let's take a quick gather of the Olympic men's golf competition. And I like your breakdowns and how these things are going. So tell me how you like the tournament so far.
Yeah, I actually stayed. Now that when I'm in Mexico, I'm in Central Time, but when I'm here, obviously close to Toronto, I'm on East Coast time. And I actually was staying up to watch the whole thing. Then they had that thunderstorm or rain. They had a rain delay there around 1:15. I had the Dodgers last night. Watched that and a nice little win and packed it in. But what I can tell you is, and I think everybody knows this who knows golf, it looks like it's going to be a putting tournament. And I know a lot of times they are, but this one maybe more so than a lot of other tournaments. It just looks like you need to make a lot of putts. Those guys were missing putts. An example, Justin Thomas. I don't know how many putts he missed yesterday. And like I say, it's always is a putting tournament for the most part, but this one, it looks like that's going to be the way it is. It looks pretty straightforward for them. Lots of room. And I do know, though, once they get into that rough, it's very hard for those guys to be getting out of that rough there. But I was watching a couple of interviews as Xander was talking, and they say how immaculate the course is. Like, you just don't see courses like that in the United States. So I've never been to Japan myself, but the way they were talking is that anytime they go over to Japan or Korea to Taiwan to play in some of these tournaments, I guess the courses are just unbelievably kept. So
it looks perfect. It really does on TV. It's good that you mentioned that because sometimes on TV, I remember years back with the Masters, they actually used green paint where the areas were brown to make. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't know that for a fact, but I heard it from enough people that it must have been.
Yeah, I actually went to the Masters in 2007, and it's something that if it's on a bucket list of anybody, I highly suggest to go. I'm actually going to try to go. I'm hoping to go again in the next 2 or 3 years. My uncle actually has tickets, so although now you can get them pretty easily, but back in the mid 2000, I went in 2007 when Zach Johnson won. And it was tough. You need to get the badges, and there was no scalping out there. There was none of this stub hub and none of this stuff going on. So now I think it's a lot more easier that if it was on your bucket list, pay the price and you go. But I will probably go again, hopefully in the next maybe not next year, but maybe in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it's heaven. It's a piece of heaven, no doubt.
It really is. Yeah.
and it's a lot hillier
Oh,
than it looks.
it sure is.
A lot
You need
hillier.
you need to walk that course. I don't know if when you go onto number 2 and you see that bunker and you're like, no wonder no one wants to get into that bunker. It's almost
It's
like
true.
it's almost like the first time you ever, I don't know, the first time you ever see a cruise ship, like for the first time, never now
or an aircraft carrier.
When you're by and you go into Miami and you look up and see these cruise ships and you go, holy, like you never really realize how big they are. That's how that bunker is. You look and go, how do these guys get out of it? Well, they don't go in it. That's how they get out of it.
Yeah, I'm just taking a scan of some of the odds to win the gold medal here, and some of them are pretty darn juicy. You know, Paul Casey 12-1,
He played well yesterday. Missed some putts.
and then Patrick Reed 35-1. He shot 3 under, I believe, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he loves playing for his country, that's for sure. So he's motivated. He just got there on Wednesday, but he's motivated. He would be somebody that because you're not thinking that Straka, but although Straka played great yesterday, if he keeps that up, he might be hard to catch. He that course might suit him very well, but again, I don't know if his putting holds up, but we'll see.
And McElroy's the one that really sticks out, 60-1. I mean, a little pizza money on him, maybe.
Yeah, the only thing I will caution about McElroy, I've read too many things and heard too many things that he really didn't want to be there, but he's there.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, I think there's stories. I'm not talking out of the school here.
Well, that's great.
Sure
that's great insider
stories
info.
I saw. Well, I mean, it's out there, John.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I read which I don't know why he doesn't. I'm not too sure what the whole thing is, why he doesn't want to be there. But that's what I had read. But you can't believe everything you read these days. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I apologize. I was. Those were odds to be leading after the second round. Sometimes these sites are hard to realize what you're actually looking at. But anyway, Paul Casey is 12-1 to be the gold medal, and he was 12-1 to be the leader after this round. That's kind of interesting. And then Patrick Reed is 20-1. McElroy's 20-1. Okay. So yeah, the 60-1 would be a stretch for him to be leading after the second round today.
Second round, yeah, right.
There's some value here, and we'll have to see what happens after. We still have 2 rounds after this, so there's no rush to the window yet.
No, that's for sure. It's going to be interesting. I think you'll see guys go up and down that scoreboard for sure in the next couple of rounds.
And before I let you go, Buster, I want to put this up again here. This is actually on YouTube. Ruby Vereen did a special video promotion, which is awesome, for Buster. He's the owner of Buster Sports and Canadian Football League Pass, #1 all time. Sportsmemo, Wager Talk combined. Nobody's been better. You can get the best, the absolute best right now, and save yourself $400 off the $699 regular season price and pay just $299 today. But as I said at the beginning of the show, don't wait, because this isn't going to be available on August 4th. It may not be available on August 1st, which is, I believe, Sunday already. So it's best to do it now. Invest in a guy that has a proven track record and have him start working for you this Canadian Football League season. So, Buster, I appreciate your time today. Lastly, for those that are interested in my MLB run of 12-1, I will have 3 plays going up here. I'll be loading them up as soon as this show is done, and we'll keep tipping the betting gods the way I've been for the last 13 games, and hopefully we go 2-1 or 3-0. And appreciate the support on that.
And as you know, John, once the show ends, you will be telling me hopefully all 3 of those plays so I can make some money too. I like money just like the rest of the guys.
I will send it over to you. I definitely will send it over to you.
Appreciate that, John.
Oh, absolutely. So again, Buster, I appreciate your time. And on behalf of Buster, myself, the Predictive Playbook, Sportsmemo.com, and WagerTalk.com, may all the wins be yours.